Hey guys, so today we are going to continue practicing factoring, but instead of just factoring the expression, we're actually going to solve the entire equation. So when you're solving a quadratic equation, one of the best ways to solve it is by factoring. So you're going to rewrite the expression as a product of its factors. So we'll just kind of ignore this equals 0 for now. And the first thing we want to do is figure out how to factor this into two binomials. So I will take my a times c term, because I can't, no GCF between 2, -5, and 12. So I need factors of -24 that add to -5. So I have 6 and 4, 8 and 3. Okay, so this is what I want to look at. I need a -5, so I have a -8, a +3. Those will become my numerators. Denominator is the a value, so I have -4 over 1. And 3 over 2, so x minus 4 and 2x plus 3. So check it real quick. 2x squared, 3 minus 8, -5, and -12. Excellent. So I have factored my quadratic. Now I'm going to pay attention to this equals 0 again. Okay? If you notice, I have two factors, x minus 4 and 2x plus 3. These two factors are being multiplied and their product is 0. So I am going to use the ZPP. Set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 4, 2x equals -3, so x equals -3/2. Remember, your exponent, your highest exponent, tells you the degree of your quadratic, or degree of your expression. In this case, it's a quadratic. It also tells you how many solutions you will have. So your solution set is 3/2 and 4. Okay? So really the factoring is the hard work, and then you just have to set each factor equal to 0 to figure out what the x values could be when solving. Okay, so there's example 1. If we check out example 2, the most important thing to remember before you factor is that you have to set your equation equal to 0. Otherwise, you won't be able to use the 0 product property. So let's go ahead and add 3 and add 5x squared to both sides. So if I add 5x squared here, add 3 here, they'll go away on this side. I will end up with x squared minus 8x plus 0 equals 0. So x squared minus 8x equals 0. Factor out the GCF. X times x minus 8 equals 0. X equals 0. X minus 8 equals 0. So I have the solution set 0 and +8. Okay? Again, we have to make sure that we are setting our equation equal to 0 before we factor. 6x squared minus 13x plus 9 equals 0. Multiply a times c, I get 54. Factors of 54 that add to 13. 6 and 9, but that doesn't add to 13. 54 divided by 2 would be 22 and 2. That's not going to work. 54 and 1, that's not going to work. Let's check out some other factors here. If you've already figured yours out, that's great. You can keep going. 54 divided by 2. Oh wait, this is 27, not 22. Still doesn't work though. 6 times 9 is 54. So what are the factors I'm missing? 54 divided by 13? Nope. Divided by 12? Nope. By 54 divided by 2, that's not going to help me. Ha! Ha 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 ha. Okay, ignore everything I've done. I'm not adding 6 to both sides, I'm adding 3 to both sides. So, 6x squared minus 13x plus 6 equals 0. Sorry I had to sit through that painful mess. We need factors of 36. Factors of 36 that add to 16. So 6 and 6, 12 and 3. 18 and 2, 9 and 4. There we go. So we need a -9 and a -4. -9 over 6, -4 over 6 gives me -3/2, and negative 2/3. So 2x minus 3 and 3x minus 2 equal 0. Get rid of my work here so I have room to solve. Let's check it real quick. 6x, negative 4, negative 9, good, positive 6. So 2x minus 3 equals 0, x equals 3/2, and 3x minus 2 equals 0, x equals 2/3. So the important thing to remember is that you have to factor. Once you factor, all you have to do is set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x. So these are the basic ways to solve a quadratic equation with factoring. You're still going to use the factoring rules that we talked about before. Don't forget that that is GCF. You have the difference of squares. You have when a equals 1, remember that you find factors of b, factors of c, that add to b. Okay, this is kind of a guess and check method as well. And then when a does not equal 1, you have guess and check, you have the box, you have the fraction, which is what I used today, or if you really want to, you have factor by grouping. Okay? All of those options are available for you to find the factors, then use the zero product property. If at any point you needed to go back and practice, try it on your own, pause the video, and then go back and see if you can do it. Use whatever you need, just make sure you're not making the same silly mistake I made in example number 3. One more example for you. We can also solve quadratic equations with word problems. So if I want my rectangle and square to have equal areas, I'm going to have to multiply those two areas together. Okay. Sometimes you may need to simplify or multiply out before you can move terms and set the equation equal to 0. So I have 2x squared minus 2x equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. Remember, this is our perfect square trinomial pattern. So when I set my equation equal to 0, I have x squared, subtract 6x from both sides gives me negative 8x, and then subtract 9 from both sides gives me negative 9. So let's go ahead and solve that. X squared minus 8x minus 9 equals 0. Factor. I have an x equal to 0. Factors of 9. So I need a 9 and a 1. This sign tells me they're different. This sign tells me the larger value gets that sign. So x equals 9, x equals negative 1. For those two values of x, these shapes will have an equal area. But if x is negative 1, that would give me a side length of negative 2. So that means this is extraneous. I cannot have a negative side length. So x equals 9. See you tomorrow.